Good evening. Welcome to episode 76 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful and comfortable confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and as well as on Substack. Hopping into episode 76, this episode is a different one. I took my time with this one, guys. I crafted. I do apologize because this episode was one of the other episodes that was supposed to be released a couple of days ago. Obviously, I explained in the previous episode I was under the weather, battling with sinus pressure, work, loss in the family. So it was just a bunch of different things going on. So I do apologize for that. But back, stronger than ever, Blunt Talk Sports Podcast in full fucking effect. Hopping right into it, this episode 76, is talking about NBA offseason news and notes. A lot of these reports, I will advise and let you know, I got a lot of this from The Athletic. In between my time when I wasn't feeling good, I was still, doing diligence and, making sure I was staying to the task, y'all. Making sure we got the top facts and news and notes, things to discuss, and maybe even things that aren't being discussed within the NBA offseason. We do know it's that time in September, guys, next month. Start the NBA season, which technically to me is funny because when you think about it, no one really gives a damn about the actual beginning of the NBA season. Most people don't even really start paying attention to the NBA until Christmas. So when you think about that, the end of October, middle to the end of October, the NBA is going to be back on. New TV deals. I think this year is going to be a little special, being that this is the last year we're going to see Chuck and Shaq and the guys, Ernie, and all them on TNT, which, we're losing great ones there, because of the whole TNT debacle and them underplaying their hand with the Warner Brothers. It was just horrible how they underplayed their hand with that. But nonetheless, like I said, we're getting into it. I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the greatest shooter of our generation, Steph Curry, agreeing to a 1-year, $62.6 million extension with the Golden State Warriors. This extension was reported on August 29th. Contract lasts through 26-27 seasons. Via Spot Rack, Curry now has $178 million left on his deal. He's worth every damn penny of it. The Warriors wouldn't be in position or even be contending without him, so no shock there. And I think ultimately, I think that's kind of, not to be funny, I think they kind of paid him for that Olympic performance. I mean, damn it, you brought home gold, but damn it, you got to get something for that, man. You got to get something for that. And also, too, I think that the unspoken word about it is they know they're going to have to pay him to shoulder the load because there's no longer any Clay. I don't think anybody has, probably saying it out loud, legitimate championship expectations for the Golden State Warriors this year. However, this is more or less, hey, you've earned it and you deserve it, and we're going to pad some more money in your pocket and we're going to take care of you. So give the Warriors credit for that. It's going to be maybe a tough road ahead for Steph and the Warriors as far as possibly contending for chips, but definitely like the fact that they took care of the OG in this one. Sticking with the Warriors, there was a very interesting article that I also came across while prepping this episode, and it was about Brandon Podziemski. And a lot of people remember Brandon Podziemski. He was a young rookie guard that started to catch on for the Warriors middle to end of last year. His name was involved in a lot of trade rumors going into the end of the offseason and within the offseason. And it was deep because in the article, Brandon Podziemski was able to talk. I forget the reporter offhand from The Athletic. It will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to click on the article and check it. But speaking to the author and speaking to the reporter, it was very interesting hearing Brandon Podziemski's take on his whole offseason and the approach and the ebbs and flows of how everything's played out. Hopping right into it, he said Podziemski spoke on GM Mike Dunleavy. Podziemski said, talking to him and letting him know, quote, they know they want you, but you're not going anywhere. You're ours. I thought that was dope to hear Mike Dunleavy say to Podziemski. Also, too, some other interesting tidbits from this article. He was almost traded for Lauri Markkanen after the Jazz stated that they would only entertain the offer if Podziemski was a part of the trade package. I thought that was very interesting. Shows you how much he came on late last year and started to play and earn that rep. Podziemski also stated that Warriors owner Joe Lacob stated that while at dinner with Jazz owner Ryan Smith, this was during a summer league right after a Las Vegas Aces game. He stated that Lacob said, quote, "You don't have anything to worry about. You're a priority here." So definitely a good sign there. And last but not least, Podziemski, when he finally gave his take on it, he stated that, quote, "I appreciate being a rookie and going into my second year, hearing that from such a prestigious organization. It feels good that I'm wanted somewhere, so I appreciate them." That's all great. You know, a lot of you guys probably wonder, like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that's cool. What the fuck are you pointing, fuck is the point of you reporting about this? Because, guys, in my personal opinion, a lot of that shit was fluff and fluff. My personal take is that the Warriors were laying this on thick because, in all honesty, this kid's taking Klay Thompson's position this year. He needs all the confidence and positive reinforcement that he could get. They don't even know how he's still trying to formulate himself into a player, so they don't even know what to make of this kid. And they damn sure don't know what to make of Andrew Wiggins. It's been well documented he had family issues going on, so he took some time off. Hadn't really been the same player since he came back. Obviously, again, Klay is in Dallas. So this kid's taking his spot, so the pressure is on. They expect Wiggins to rebound and Podziemski to continue to grow, but we shall see. I just thought it was very interesting how they kind of laid that on thick about, you're a priority here, and we like, which all things may be true. I'm not inferring that they're liars, but I'm also inferring that some of that was, that was only because we weren't sure if Markkanen and Curry will work right away, especially with not having that guard, so we're going to keep that guard because we got a system going. So we'll keep an eye on Podziemski and see how he plays throughout the year, and if he really would have resonated or warranted a guy for the Jazz to try to acquire back after getting rid of or attempting to get rid of a guy of the caliber of Lauri Markkanen. Going a bit further, another article from the Athletic News. Russell Westbrook is going to wear number 4 in Denver and stated he didn't, quote, ask Christian Braun for number 0. As y'all guys well know, Russell Westbrook has worn number 4 with the Washington Wizards before. Is currently worn by his teammate Denver Hunter Tyson. It was previously worn, by his teammate in Denver Hunter Tyson, who would now switch to number 5. This was kind of a weird, wacky, like off-season, don't know where this shit came from rumor. Reports have surfaced somewhere on the online about a week or so ago that teammate Christian Braun had pretty much said that he was resistant to giving up the number 0 to Russell Westbrook. However, Russell Westbrook came out instantly on Instagram to refute the claim, stating, quote, "Let's please leave our young star alone." He went further to state him and Braun have never discussed him even wearing or passing off the number 0. So kind of weird where that came from. I'm happy to see that Westbrook is acclimating himself to the Nuggets and the camaraderie that he's building, because they're going to need a lot of Russell Westbrook off that bench to be successful this year, because as I've said, we don't know where the three-point shooting is coming from. Jamal Murray, I've done a little expose topic on Jamal Murray previously on the show. Don't know where the shooting is coming from in Denver, but I'm glad that the numbers are correct. Let's just hope that the numbers in the fall and going into the summer for the Jazz are correct, because if not, it's going to be a long year for the Denver Nuggets. And even the Jazz in this situation, I mean, not trading Lauri Markkanen. It's great that you gave him the max extension, but team sucks. So could potentially be long years for the Nuggets and the Jazz going into this upcoming season. Excuse me. Now, this one was a topic that I definitely wanted to touch on. This was a very extensive expose in The Athletic. It was called NBA Salary Cap Outlook, Quick Glance at 2025. So it's ultimately giving you a quick synopsis of all the teams and what their cap space is looking like. And I thought it was very interesting. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go team by team and show you what I exactly read and how things could fluctuate. And keep in mind, guys, that as I'm giving you this episode, Thursday, September 5th, 8:46 p.m., in the midst of the Chiefs and Ravens game. If it's on, guys, definitely make sure you're checking that out. But nonetheless, these are subject to change with trades and extensions, so do keep in mind some of these cap numbers can fluctuate. However, getting right into it, the Brooklyn Nuggets are projected to have somewhere between $44 and $65 million in cap space for 2025. And that cap space can grow if the team gets rid of guys like Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and others, amongst others. I thought that was very interesting to see, so that's definitely good news if you're a Nets fan. For the 76ers, a little bit tighter. They will only have enough wiggle room under the second tax apron to sign a mid-level exception player or retain players on their bird rights. This is primarily due to the contracts that Maxey and Paul George received. They don't really have the room to acquire another big-name guy, so better hope Paul George produces in the postseason, Philly. The Toronto Raptors are $29 million below the tax. However, will that be enough to keep Bruce Brown? Interesting question. And how will they use a mid-level exception to kind of improve the team? So, interesting times there for the Toronto Raptors. The Chicago Bulls will operate as an over-the-cap team even with acquiring Josh Giddey, but unless they can get rid of the contracts of Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, this team's going to have to deal with it. And contracts making without taking on long-term money, if they can do that as well, they really can set the Bulls up. And definitely use that mid-level exception, $14.1 million in non-tax payers. So that definitely is key because you won't have to pay a tax or any threshold or anything for that. So it'd be interesting for the Bulls. Guys, going a step further, we got staying in the division. You got the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are projected to have somewhere between 20. They will have 20+ million, and 8.8 million more in room exception. And that includes waiving Paul Reed, which we all expect. And that should clear about $8.1 million in non-guaranteed salary. So there's definitely a plus there. A lot of smart cap moves by some of these teams that were struggling and weren't sure if they were going to be good within this year or next. And definitely just trying to make sure they got the cap space and picks to make sure they can make the moves they want to make. Sticking within that Central Division, the Indiana Pacers, they will be $29 million under the tax. However, they will have nothing to spend on their draft pick or pending free agents. Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson are going to dictate a lot of what happens there. This one I thought was very interesting. The Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Middleton holds the cards. If he picks up his player option, the Bucks will be about $7 million below the projected tax with nothing for Brook Lopez. However, can they get the Bucks to do that? Can the Bucks get Chris Middleton to do that for one last squeeze of the orange? Healthy Giannis, healthy Dame Lillard. Can they really get that done to try to make it one more championship run with that iteration of the Bucks? Be interesting to see, especially at a lower salary. The Hornets will have the option of using that salary cap space or stay over the tax threshold. They're kind of a very great situation. Jordan left them in a very great financial situation. The Miami Heat. Another one where Jimmy Butler holds the cards in this situation. If he stays and they become a tax threshold team, and that's even if they waive Duncan Robinson, who has an early termination option, that's only partially guaranteed. If Butler goes elsewhere, the Heat could open up a small amount of cap space, around $22 million or so roughly. That's it. Though it's likely in that scenario they would transform the roster with such a move because you can't really get rid of Jimmy Butler, who's been your heart and soul. Guys got you to 2 finals, and then just expect, we're going to carry that forward. And that's not really how that works, at all. Staying within the division, we have the Washington Wizards, who will be $44 million, who will have $44 million in cap space next summer. Even with Kuzma and Poole still under contract, they have cap flexibility going all the way through 2029. So this is great. They can kind of mix and match that roster for a couple years without really guaranteeing any major bread to anybody of substance outside of those 2 guys. Going into the Southwest Division, we got the Mavericks, who pretty much $17 million below the projected tax line. Smart by the Mavericks, knowing that already you were just the Western Conference runner-up, just competing for a championship. You need to have some type of maneuverability and flexibility. So if you have to bring in a vet, a key shooter, key defender, you can definitely make that move. Like I said, a lot of smart moves where you see the outline and the outlook where, again, trades and extensions could change everything, but you see where some of these teams have their destiny lined out in front of them as far as cap space. Going a bit further, staying within the same division with the Mavericks, we have the Rockets, and the Rockets are in a very interesting situation. Let me explain. they essentially have two paths that they can take. The first being that they keep the team together and open up as much as $69 million in cap space. Keep in mind, that means the Rockets would also have to be saying goodbye to Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green while holding out hope that Sengun would be wanting to be a part of this and be as patient as Tyrese Maxey was during the slight rebuild. Don't really know. That's something that, to have to be discussed and vetted and figured out, because those type of options, though both, I see benefits in both, are very stark. And it seems like they built something there in Houston, and it just seems like it'd be a very major issue to just kind of drop it and be like, oh, it's all right, whatever. So, continuity, integrity, things that matter. The Pelicans would be $63 million under the projected tax. However, this doesn't take into account Brandon Ingram or the Trey Murphy III contracts, if and when they happen. Seems like Brandon Ingram may not be there, may be there. Kind of a rat bastard situation, not really sure. The Spurs only have $28 million in cap space before adding potential draft picks. You got $15 to $20 million plus to the $8.8 million room exception. Wemby becomes extension eligible in 2027, so definitely to see how interesting the Spurs utilize this cap going into this free agency year, which is literally kind of startling to realize less than 3 years away. So very interesting to see. Portland Trailblazers have no actual cap space to make a reasonably good move before 2026, which is just quite startling. Hey, what's up? I know it sucks. The video just ended. But listen, you can catch this whole interview on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Links are in the description. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.